Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to today's workshop. Our topic is caring for people with disabilities in the healthcare profession. And I would like to introduce our guest speaker is Mr. Jonathan Schulz. Mr. Schulz is he owns a small local music production company here in the community, and he's also seeking to go about to various schools, hospitals, various places to do workshops, and this is the first of many to come. And basically he's going to give you information on what it's like to live with a medical disability. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest speaker for today, Mr. Jonathan Schulz. Let's please give him a hand.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I am, before I start, basically what I wanted to say is if you have any questions throughout the whole talk, just raise your hand and I'll answer it, just so basically we're on the same page of the topic and whatever. And at the end also I'll ask. My name is Jonathan, as she said. I'm 33. I have spina bifida. I thought of this idea a few weeks ago. It was basically, you guys are, learning through a lot of stuff through textbooks and, your teachers and everything. And I thought to myself, to me at least, going through school, textbooks were boring, right? Okay. So I thought to myself, why not have a person, that would be me, come out with an actual disability, which you're going to, have to learn about and see once you're in the field, and talk about what it's like to actually live with that disability or condition. So that's why I thought a few weeks ago, and I thought, I'm going to start a company to do that. And the company is called From the Source, which basically means you're hearing about it from me, from the actual source. Not from a textbook, not from, well, you're going to see some slides and stuff, but, not from anything else, but from the actual person. I was born back in 1982 in New York with spina bifida, which basically is, I was born with a hole in my spine that they had to close right from birth. And there are different severities of it. You can do the first, number one.
Would anyone like for me to turn off the lights?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay.
Okay.
Can everybody hear?
Yes. We can hear.
Get to a microphone.
You can't hear in the back?
Well, there's some seats up here if you want to move
Do you
on.
mind using the microphone?
Oh, okay.
Yes, the people in the back cannot hear. Thank you.
Can you all hear me now?
Try again.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's much clearer.
Okay, you turned off the lights? No, okay. Okay, no. Anyways, this is a diagram of the spine. And it basically from the top, wherever your paralyzation starts, from the top, from the top to the bottom. The top is the most severe, and the bottom is basically the less severe, basically where the paralyzation starts. My paralyzation is T12, which is, as you can see, basically, in my case, besides reading that, my paralyzation starts there, which basically means I'm paralyzed pretty much from the waist down. So from the waist down, I got nothing. But So basically, next time you guys think you have issues, you ain't got nothing on me. Have you guys learned to take blood yet?
No.
Thank God. I have a VP shunt. Actually, and then next slide. Actually, first of all, these are the different kinds of spina bifida. Mine is the most severe. Basically, when I was born, everything was pretty much my whole spine was pretty much out, not covered, and we had to cover it with skin graft and everything. Yeah. With the second one, basically it means that just some of the membranes are out, but it's not as severe as the top one. Bottom one, occulta. Have any of you guys heard of a musician named John Mellencamp? John Mellencamp?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, John Mellencamp, yes.
Okay, one person. This is awesome.
You guys don't know? No, that one. Mellencamp, no, what's he sing?
He's,
He sings that, Jack and Jill,
yeah, Jack and Diane,
Jack and Diane.
and pink houses and all that stuff. Anyways, he has spina bifida, believe it or not. I don't know if you guys knew that. But his is called, his,
You know what, I'm sorry.
The mic,
The
right?
mic is pretty staticky, so
Exactly.
probably do better without.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
It's whatever reason.
Well, good, because I don't like my voice with the mic anyway.
Henry, you wanna see if the
Let me see if I can
volume
fix it.
maybe?
So basically what I was going to say was with him, he has spina bifida occulta, which basically means there was like a little spot when he was born. And basically nobody would know that unless you read up on it or, doctors would know about it and stuff like that. Because, he walks fine, he talks fine, he obviously performs fine, and makes a lot more money than I do. So basically you're not going to know, unless you are a medical professional about, his kind pretty much.
Is there pain involved in it?
Not really. With my case, with the stuff that I go through sometimes, there would be, because most of it goes from the waist down, that I have issues with, but I can't feel it, so, which is good and bad, because it's good, because I can't feel it, but it's bad, because if something happens, I'm usually the last person to find out, because I can't feel it.
Gotcha.
So, it's good and bad. Next. Okay, well, and that basically is a diagram of the occulta, meningocele, and the myelo. If you guys, I don't know if you can see that. If you can, it's basically what's covered, and what it looks like at birth and stuff like that. Cool? Cool. Next. That basically was the hole. Not from, that's not me. Mom has pictures of that, but no, you don't want to see that. Basically, so that's the hole, what it looks like. Pretty much for when you're a baby before it's closed up. It's usually with the grafts, like I said, but that's what it looks like. Okay, next. Yay, okay, back on track now. I have a VP shunt. Has any of you heard of a shunt?
No.
Basically, when I was 9, I had about 3 weeks, I want to say, where I woke up, had breakfast, and threw it up. Pretty much every day for, I would say, 3 weeks. And we can figure out for the life of me why that was happening. So basically, I went to the neurologist, and, you know, he did a CAT scan and all that stuff. And he told me that I had this thing that I had no idea at the time called hydrocephalus. Which, does anybody of you guys know what that means? Hydrocephalus?
One on the brain.
Very good.
It's good. Hi, Jones.
Water in the brain, which is what I had. So basically, they had to put in a shunt, which starts from here and goes all, like as you can see, starts from here, then goes all the way down into the peritoneal cavity, which is right here. So basically, what that does is drains all the excess fluid that I had that was making me sick and everything from here to here. And obviously VP stands for ventricular and peritoneal. Here's a good one. A lot of people, I've realized over the years, with shunts especially, have a lot of social issues because it either, when they have it put in, it usually messes with their brain, or a lot of my friends are, for one reason or another, I believe, spoiled. You know, I think it has to do with their parents not knowing how to deal with, you know, their kid's situation, or feeling bad for them, so they spoil them and stuff like that. And I feel like all those things all those things contribute to their social issues, which you know it is what it is. Some of the things you can help, some of them you can't help. Some of the times they just feel guilty and they don't want to do anything. They just kind of want to have them live the life that they feel like they can't live without their help. And I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. Next one, yeah. Okay. Next is a very, very, very twisted topic. Thank you for laughing. This is a diagram of somebody with some pretty bad scoliosis, which is the curvature of the spine. And I had that, and I had rods put in to fix that when I was age 10. And basically what the Harrington rods do is I had scoliosis of 65 degrees, which basically, before I had the rods put in, my back looked like a roller coaster. But once that was fixed, once that was fixed, I was healthier, I felt better, and I looked more normal, I think. But ever since then, when I tell the story to people always say, "Oh, so basically now you have a stick up your ass." Okay. And I'm just like, no. Okay. Next one is basically that explains. If you guys can see it, there's a few kinds of scoliosis. The scoliosis, which is when your back looks like an S, and kyphosis, which for some reason starts with a K, but it's basically when your back looks like a C. So apparently the person that made that up didn't spell. But anyways, and then the lordosis is basically when the bottom, like lower, is all curved. But all those things can be fixed through scoliosis. Through the Harrington rod surgery. Okay, next. Okay. Oh, this is, okay. Have any of you heard of something called the ACE procedure? Okay. It's basically when they take your part of your small intestine, and make kind of like a pathway that you can put a catheter in, like you're seeing right here. And basically, what you do is you put that in. You use like an enema that you put in, in the catheter. Put the water in, and basically, it's another way of evacuating yourself, your bowels. It's an interesting and which obviously lessens the probability of you having bowel accidents, but as you all know, with anything with life, nothing is completely foolproof. So obviously the accidents still happen occasionally, even if you have that. Okay, next. Okay, basically, this is a diagram of something that I had done also called bladder augmentation. Which, have you guys, do any of you know what that means or would mean?
We're not that far in vocab.
Okay, neither am I. Just kidding. Okay, basically, your bladder is, a certain size, but for me, I have to catheterize every so often, and, you guys just go to the bathroom and everything, so, you know when you have to go, stuff like that, because you can feel everything. I don't. So I'm on a schedule to go, every so whatever. And basically, when I was younger, when I was a kid, I was getting wet a lot. So we went to the urologist, and they taught us about a surgery that I could have called a bladder augmentation, which basically you take like it says there, you take the piece of the bowel, and then you suture it to the bladder, and it's basically augmentation. It makes the bladder bigger, so you have more room. Basically, you can catheterize less, and you have more room in your bladder to have fluid, so you don't wet as much, or at all if you do it correctly, like I've been doing. Everybody understand that?
Is the bowel and the bladder are put together? No?
Yeah, basically you take
You do it all at once?
Yeah.
Everything?
Well, no, you take a piece of the bowel, and you connect it, just a piece of the bowel, and you connect it to the bladder, so that serves as kind of like a extension to make the bladder bigger, so you have more room in there to have fluid. So, instead of, like, let's say you can only drink 8 ounces of fluid and then you wet yourself, now you can drink 12. Or, I'm not just saying that, but I'm saying, there's more room to, have stuff.
Can we show something?
Yeah.
Just basically the way it shows
Well,
it
excuse
here.
me, this is Jonathan's
This is my mom.
mother, Mrs. Schulz. Miss Schulz.
What they did was the suture marks you see around there, they attach it to the bladder, because the bladder's only a certain size, and so they take part of the bowel, that tissue, they excise it, cut it out around there, sew that back together, and then sew it onto, cut around the bladder, attach it to that, so then you've got, it's like a balloon, you've just made a lot bigger.
What? I need a laser.
Jonathan, this young lady has a question.
I have an answer. I hope.
What's on the other slide? I know that you have the tube. Is it the same thing as a colostomy bag for you, or?
No. Basically, a colostomy bag is you have it. I don't have one of those, but as far as my understanding, you carry that. It's not showing, but you carry that around, and then you empty it when you need to empty it. This basically is just kind of like going to the bathroom. When you need to do it, you don't have anything attached to you. When you need to do it, you just kind of go to the bathroom, put the catheter in, do the enema thing, evacuate, and then you're done. So it's basically, yeah.
You're still evacuating the normal way through your rectum.
Oh.
It's not that it's going into a bag. And what they did was they converted, actually it was your appendix.
Okay.
Because we don't use the appendix anymore. You know what the appendix is?
Yeah.
So you probably know more than I do about that. They convert that into a little conduit, a passageway that goes right into the small intestine, and then, that's why he can put in the enema right there and have it use the force of gravity. The rest of us, if we have any constipation or something and we need to use an enema, you have to lie down on the floor and or so you put it in right when you administer to a patient. They're probably on the bed or something, and then wait for it to work, and then you got to be able to get them up and get to the bathroom. And when you're paralyzed, when you don't have mobility, it's a lot more involved. So this makes it more convenient. You can just put yourself on the toilet and just administer it, and then just wait for it to do its magic.
So he doesn't have the plug with him right now. He just uses it when he has to. Oh.
Sorry, I'll play.
No, it's good that you interrupted because I needed to drink of water. But anyway, nice planning, Mom. So okay, that has to do with the bowels. Is everybody cool with understanding that? All right. Next is I actually this is the mitrophanol, which is basically I have the ACE for the bowel. The mitrophanol is basically for urination purposes. It's basically so you don't have to, urinate through the usual places, just to make it easier. I don't have one of those, but it's basically for that, for that reason. And one of my friends has it, and she's told me that it's basically it's good, and it works, and it's easier for her. So, as disabled people, if you can make something easier, do it. As long as it doesn't involve surgery, because I'm done with those. But anyways, I'm sure you've all learned about the term sterile. Okay. Anybody know what that means? Say it again?
Free of germs and bacteria.
Pretty much. You gotta, basically, like, as far as, like, catheterizing for me, or for, like, in the hospitals, what they do, they have this whole kit that they bring you. It's sealed, and basically what they do is machines seal it. Until you open it, there have been no human hands touching it, which, you really can't get much more cleaner than that. Which is good because, with us being disabled, you're around a lot of germs and other stuff that you really don't want. So, the cleaner you have it, the better. At least I think. Okay. Next topic actually has to do a lot with me. Just kidding. Have you guys heard of something called lymphedema? Okay, what is that?
The enlargement of the extremities, right?
You're good. Okay. Yes, basically, with my with my example with that's not me, but with my leg, basically as I've gotten older, as I said, I'm paralyzed from the waist down. So my blood flow from the waist down is not as good as yours because, well, I can't feel it, I can't move it, can't do anything with it. It's just kind of there. So, basically, if it's just kind of there, it's really not going to do much. So it's, the blood flow is whatever. So because of that, a lot of the fluid kind of just builds up, and that's what, lymphedema is. and there are different treatments that can manage it, but it's pretty much a chronic condition. Because it, basically what happens, like, I used to take water pills to get rid of it, but basically what happens is for me, I took them, the fluid went away, but since I still wasn't using them, it came back. Took the pills, it went away. It came back, took the pills, it went away. It was kind of, anybody ever see the movie Groundhog Day? Groundhog Day? Way back, like 90 something. Basically, it was a movie about, I think it was Bill Murray. Wow, I actually remember that. Cool. He was in it, and it was basically, he woke up, had a day where, things happened, went back to sleep, woke up, same thing happened, went back to sleep, same thing happened. So basically, lymphedema is the medical version of that movie, in my mind. But that movie was definitely way more interesting. So yeah, okay, next.
One question. Can't like physical therapy help with it?
As I said, there's like the different like the water pill and different lymphedema therapies like machines and stuff like that in therapy that can help manage it, but it's never gonna totally go away. So.
Because you have to constantly keep it.
Yeah, because it just comes back because you're not using it. So it can be managed, but it can't be cured. Kind of like diabetes and stuff like that. Cool.
Jonathan,
All right.
this young lady has a question.
My great grandma, she also somewhat have the same problem, and she's from the islands. So what she usually do is she'll put like a leech, she'll put leeches on there that would suck up the blood, and
Tasty.
it sounds weird, but like she'll put leeches on there. And
I've actually heard of that through for different things, like what I was going to go into next after this, but I'll go into it now. Whatever. Is I've had, I would say, two really bad bed sores, which basically happens when, like, you guys can, feel everything. So basically, like, when you're sitting down right now and you get uncomfortable, what do you guys do?
Move your body.
You shift, right?
Yeah.
I can do that, and I do it now, but I don't know when I start to feel uncomfortable because, well, I can't feel that. So basically what happens, if you don't shift enough, in my case, is you get these crazy, really bad things called bed sores, which they can be small, or they can be really bad and go all the way to your bone, and you can get infected. And I've actually had friends that they've gotten infected with something called MRSA. Have you guys heard of it?
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I've had a couple of friends with actually my disability who have gone through the same stuff that I have with, MRSA and everything like that. The difference is, I'm still here. Unfortunately, they passed away because it got so bad that the infection spread, and yeah. So, whatchamacallit, that is basically what I have. That's, again, not my leg, but it's basically, that is called a compression stocking, which basically is a way to manage it in a way. It's basically, you put it on, and it's tight, so it basically takes the fluid, moves it around, not moves it around, but basically tightens it so it helps push the fluid out. And then when it comes back, it does the same thing, and it's a way to manage it. It doesn't totally take care of it, but it helps manage it. So that's what that is. Next. Those are club's feet. Do you guys know what club feet is?
Yeah.
Okay, I had that. I had my both feet released when I was 9 months old. Yeah, so basically when I was a baby, I had a lot of stuff going on. I had both feet released because of that, and as you can see, over the years with other different surgeries, my legs still look kind of funky, but you know that was a major problem that was fixed. Well, the next one doesn't have a slide, but the next one, when I was a year and a half, until I was a year and a half, I had this thing called cross-eyed, which I'm sure you all know what it means. Basically, your eyes were crossed, and basically, everywhere you went, you felt like you were high because you were seeing two of everything. So I remember, even after getting the surgery, I remember, and it used to drive my mom nuts, which was pretty much why I did it. Making my eyes cross-eyed after the surgery, just so I could see two of everything, because it was fun. She's like, yeah, I remember that. So basically, and we think I had the cross-eyed. It had to do with hydrocephalus, because basically, when I had the surgery, I was 10, and when I had the eye corrective thing, it was 18 months. And basically, eyes are close to your brain, and we thought a lot of fluid was in that area, so that we thought maybe that contributed to the cross-eyed. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay.
Jonathan, this young lady has a question.
Right here.
Oh, sorry.
When you said released it, like what does that mean? So like you don't have like your foot is gone.
Yeah, well, basically like that, like before I had it, it pretty much looked like that, and then releasing it basically means
You cut the muscles and the tendons to cause to make it, you can stretch it then. And then he had casts put on there.
So, but he still has both foot.
Oh yeah, all his body parts are still intact. Yeah, they don't cut them off. Right, they don't release it from your body. They just it could be confusing. Yeah, no, I understand your question.
yes.
Okay, I have a question in regards to your cross-side. You said that it's fixed now, you're no longer cross-side. But my question is, do you know what kind of surgery did the doctor do to fix it? What does it call?
As far as I know, just cross-eyed corrector surgery.
Yeah.
I think it's also, it's a good question. I think it's. I'm sorry if I'm.
No.
He was a little too young to really know what was going on at the time. Not that I knew much more, but it was because of the hydrocephalus, and I want to clear up something about that in a minute. But there was the way it pressed on the optic nerve and different things, the muscles. It caused an imbalance. So certain muscles were stronger than others. Mm-hmm. So the ones that pulled your eye in, you have opposing sets of muscles up, down, and in and out. The ones that pulled it in were operating better than the ones that were pulling it back out. So it kept pulling the left eye in all the time to be crossed. So they, I assume, did the same kind of thing that they did on his muscles in his feet, and just released some of either the nerves or something to keep it so that it was more neutral, the position. But the thing about the hydrocephalus was Jonathan was born on a Sunday morning, and he was transferred a couple of hours later, to another hospital. We lived in Manhattan at the time, so he was transferred across town and down. And if you know anything about New York City, I mean, it's like forever. It takes you forever to get 2 miles, So, and his father was going back and forth between me at one hospital and him at the other. And the reason he was transferred there was because the preeminent, most important, well-known pediatric neurosurgeon in the whole world was working at this other hospital, and our pediatrician wanted him to have the best, so they transferred him there, and that's where he was operated on. Now, usually when they close up the back, the hydrocephalus has been leaking out through the hole in the spine that you saw. Well, there's no more hole anymore, so it starts to build up in the brain because there's some kind of issue up there in the whole structure of the brain with spina bifida. babies. And he said, we're going to monitor it, and we're not going to put a shunt in right away. We're going to see how it goes. And a baby, in the beginning, the top skull hasn't closed yet. They have the fontanelle, right? So they could keep doing ultrasounds there every week to see how the fluid was building up. And he told me, he said, I'm not going to shunt him until I see a real problem. Right now, it seems to be okay. Well, years later, when Jonathan told you that he did have the surgery when he was like 8 or 9, we had transferred to another neurosurgeon by that time, because this man, even though he was brilliant, was not, I did not care for him as a human being, and I could not work with him. But this guy that we transferred him to said, how come I don't feel a shunt? I said, he has not been shunted. And he said, we automatically close up their back, flip them over, and put a shunt in. And he said, who did this? And I told him. He says, oh, well, nobody would have argued with him. It was experimental, it turns out, but it saved us 8 years of Jonathan having to go in all the time for shunt revisions and all that. So that's why he did have some hydrocephalus, and enough to cause certain things like with his eyes, but not enough to really cause damage. So in some ways we were lucky to have used this guy. So good questions.
Anybody else? Questions? Am I not seeing anybody? All right, cool. Yeah, she mentioned that I was born on a Sunday morning, and I immediately went to a different hospital that she was in. Since I was born on a Sunday morning, that reason was so I could recover from the hangover from the night before. It was Saturday night. What was I supposed to do? All right. So what? No, okay. Oh, okay. Can you go to the PDF file? I'm trying to think now. Yes, perfect. Okay. I don't know. Basically, you guys know about latex allergies?
Yes.
Awesome. Basically, a lot of people with spina bifida have a latex allergy, and it's because they were around it so much as kids and babies that over time, you develop an allergy to it. I'm glad that I don't think I have an allergy to it, but they do it as a precaution every time I go into the hospital, just in case something happens. But, I have had minor itching after they accidentally used latex on me in the last few years, but nothing serious. But basically, this is an interesting list. If you guys want to just have read that, and then if you want to go down and basically just skim up, or make it, basically go down, and basically different items, and believe it or not, there are different foods that they don't have rubber in the food. But basically, basically like different ingredients that latex has are in the food, which I didn't know about this until maybe a year or two ago when I saw it online somewhere. Some of the foods that it's kind of weird for me because I think a minor allergy to it, but thank God I'm not allergic to any of these foods because a couple of the ones that I love that have this are avocados and plantains. Yes, I am a white boy that eats plantains.
Like it's sweet plantain?
Oh yeah. Bananas and obviously gum, with the rubber and whatever in it has it, but I'm not allergic to any of that stuff. And especially with the avocado, and I guess plantains too. If I had a minor, reaction to it, I'd most likely still eat it. It's too good. So did you guys, what in the world?
That's the bottom.
Oh, that's okay. Okay.
You want me to go back up?
No, I mean, that's basically, if you can go back up, which is basically that whole list. Have you guys read most of that? Some of the stuff you might already know, some of it you might not know. some of it apparently I don't know. But no. But if you want to just read about it and, you know, just so you know and about all that stuff. Say it? Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting stuff. And apparently another one of those things that I don't have a reaction to is lottery scratch tickets. Okay, God. No, I'm kidding. But you know, a lot of this stuff is interesting, and anyways, you can go to the the next one. The next slide. I don't know if okay, I don't have this. You know, this is not one of my. This is one of the few problems I don't have.
Oh, wait a second.
But
You do.
I have Chiari.
That's an automatic, kids call, yeah. We heard, we were told.
I don't think. I mean, I didn't think I had it because basically a lot of the things, the issues that people have with them, it affects your swallowing, chewing, and speech. And
Okay. You have what's called the Arnold-Chiari malformation, but yours may not be to the extent and that's why your hydrocephalus wasn't so bad after they closed your back up. That could be. But the fact that you have the hydrocephalus, I think, is part of that.
Mhm.
So your severity is probably very mild.
okay, I'm gonna have my mom give the rest of this speech because apparently I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about.
Sorry, it's definitely an occupational hazard of being a mom.
I think you all should tag team, work together. Yes, do the workshops together.
Yeah, my friend has it, and her diet is pretty much very basic because of her swallowing and chewing, and you know her speech is fine but she says she has some swallowing issues. So basically, that's why she eats some basic foods because you know the more I guess exotic foods you eat, the more reactions that you'll have, which is why I guess I'm glad that part doesn't affect me because I'll pretty much eat anything. Except for salad.
You don't like salad?
It's green, no.
You're making good.
No, I'm kidding. No, some salad is good, but it also can affect your breathing and cause sleep issues, because you know when the brain stem, as it sees right here, apparently I'm somewhere in between the normal and affected. Not sure where, but I'm somewhere in between. The brainstem goes into it shows you, and that affects a lot of different things like your sleeping patterns and what you eat and swallowing and like I said before.
Is that swelling or a blockage?
Say it again.
Is it swelling or a blockage?
No, it's not. I mean, it's basically when your brainstem fall. When your part of your brain falls into down here.
Tusses?
Huh?
Tusses?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's
It's herniated.
Yeah,
Herniates through
pretty much.
magnum foramen through the hole.
Say it again.
If your brain swells too much, it herniates through the hole.
Yeah.
So it falls into the hole. It's very bad.
Yeah. No
It's
good.
deadly.
No good.
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend it.
So that's why you don't want, the brain is encapsulated, you don't want too much. I mean, you can only go so far, it doesn't, get any bigger, so it can only go through that one hole, so that's what I'm sorry.
That's
what
fine.
I'm trying to say.
All right. Well, okay. So you can tag team with my mom, and I'll go for lunch. No. Kidding. I haven't had this. I don't think as far as a hip surgery, but a lot of people that walk with my disability, with the less severities of it, that can feel more and can actually walk. They have an interesting. They walk kind of differently, with a limp and stuff like that, and because of that, their hips and everything get kind of messed up over time. So you need kind of surgery.